Now that we've done a little bit of CSS coding inside of our website, what we're going to do is talk about the coding conventions and syntax for CSS. Just like HTML, it's got rules. Just like English, it's got rules. Spanish, any way you're writing, they all have rules, and they're slightly different. And remember, you're not creating things in CSS, you are adding styles to existing elements in your HTML. So remember, CSS is like the paint on the walls. It's putting down the flooring where the walls already exist. You're just painting them, and the concrete slab on the bottom for your foundation already exists. You're just adding the flooring on top of it. So it's really important to remember that CSS is not creating something, it's adding to what's in your HTML elements. So if a paragraph doesn't exist as a paragraph tag in the HTML and you go to CSS and you try to code it and stylize it, nothing will happen because the paragraph style can't apply to the paragraph tag in the HTML if it's not there. So when we look at a website like Behance, you had all that HTML that I showed you before, which puts these elements in, it puts the pictures in, it puts the text in, it puts the search bar. But to make them look like this, to make them have this font, to make these have a border and have spacing around them, to make this button have a blue background, these are all style pieces to change the way that they look. The text sign up is on the HTML part of the coding, but the blue border and the curvature and the white text and the font, those are all settings that are set in the CSS style for that button. So when we do this, we are calling upon something using what's called a selector. We're creating declarations of like, this is what that selector should look like. So a heading 1 should have a property color of blue value, a font size property of 12 pixel value. So you're always specifying these different properties. You don't have to create another H1 selector to be able to apply more declarations about what that should look like. You can just put everything for the H1 selector inside your curly brackets. So that's why there are multiple and we have the semicolon separating them. So let's talk about a shirt. If we were pretending that we were coding a shirt, here's what it would kind of look like. First thing is we have to tell the computer we're talking about a shirt. So we would specify that we are calling on the shirt. We would then open up our curly brackets and say maybe something like that the color of the shirt is black. So we'd put those curly brackets in and we'd say, okay, shirt color black. And that's that property and value. Maybe we want to specify its sleeve length being short. You can have all these different properties of that shirt that you are then declaring and setting the values of. And this is just like we're doing in HTML. Maybe the collar being round is something you want to do. Or maybe you want to specify that something doesn't exist, like there's no pocket on the front of the shirt. These are all things that you can do with CSS for text, buttons, images, movies, whatever it is you want to have on your website. You can specify all the different properties of it inside the CSS to then apply. So let's look at this inside of coding. When you have a paragraph tag, which both of these are paragraph tags in the HTML, and you apply a color of red and a text line of center, you're going to see that they center on the page and they're a color of red. What's also important is that this is a cascading style sheet. So hello world is sitting in its own paragraph tag, and these paragraphs are styled with CSS is sitting in its own paragraph tag. That's 2 separate paragraph tags that it is styling. And it's doing both at the same time because they both are a P tag. Okay, so imagine that they all get that cascading style applied to them. So what we're going to do is I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to challenge you to create an HTML and CSS code pen on your own and make it look like what I give you. So you're going to be coding some HTML and some CSS and practicing those skills on your own. Ask questions, comment with me, ask me if you need help. I'm here to help.